Hello, welcome back to the Honest Art Podcast. I'm your host, Jodie King, and we are going to be talking about something today that truly will change your revenue as an artist. You just have to embrace it. And if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you probably can guess we are going to talk about how your why can drive and increase your revenue. Now, you know I've been talking about this a long time, and y'all are still out here in these streets dragging your feet on this. And so through the Honest Art Society, which you'll hear me talking about a lot, it's a community of artists that we do trainings and we do critiques and we do all kinds of things, but we have a community forum. And so we talk a lot about all kinds of things, from business to woo to creativity, all of it. But what I'm coming to understand is that there's two reasons, basically, that I see that as artists that we generally do not take the time to dig into answering that question about what is our why. The first thing is that I see is that it is introspective, right? It is to find our why. We do need to do some introspection. I'm going to teach you how to do this, by the way, in the podcast. But a lot of people will shy away from that. They're like, you know what? The past is in the past. That feels a little scary to do that work. And so I'm just going to not do it. But we're going to talk about it in a way that it's not scary. Okay. So by the end of the podcast, hopefully you'll be like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm going to do this work. The second reason that I see that artists are not doing the why work is because there isn't really a true understanding about how it can drive revenue. And we're going to talk about that. So between those two things, it's keeping us from doing it. But by the end of the podcast, you're going to be all about the why, hopefully. Okay. So without further ado, let's get messy. Okay, so we're going to talk about several things on the podcast. The first thing we're going to talk about is how having your why and being clear on your why, how it can help us to communicate with our audience and to potential collectors much easier. And if you haven't listened to the episode from a couple of weeks ago on the art market trends that are going on right now, please go back and listen to this, because the people who are buying work that have a narrative, they have a story around it. Well, when we are clear on our why, it makes having that narrative or that story, it just makes it so much easier to do that. So knowing your why, while it's going to take a minute, it's going to make your life easier. I totally promise you on that. So we're also going to talk about how to find your why and where to use it that really makes a difference on driving revenue. Okay, so you may have heard me tell this story about me finding my why. And by the way, there's a couple of different ways I'm going to tell you to help you find your why. In the Honest Art Society, we have a whole area on resources, from how to find your why to how to price your art, how to write an artist statement, all of these resources. But there's more information about finding your why if you're interested in that through the Honest Art Society. So for me, my first experience with finding my why was I knew that it was time for me, or I felt like it was time for me to go from hobbyist to truly selling my work, to like really making this, even if it wasn't like a full-time career, it was go time for me. My kids had graduated, and I had been still painting and doing things, but it was go time for me. And so I didn't want to waste a bunch of years trying to figure things out like I had been doing. So I hired a mentor. And on our first call, she asked me about my why. She's like, so why do you paint? And we walked through this process that I'm about to tell you about, and it's called the 5 Whys exercise. And this is going to make sense in just a minute, okay? So going back to this, she's like, so why do you paint? And I said, well, because it's fun. And, I love to create. And then she said, why? Okay, that's why number 2, right? Why? And I'm like, okay, well, I like to paint and I like to create because it's time for me. It's my time. And when I am painting, I feel really, really present. And she said, okay, so why? Why does that matter? And I said, because when I'm present, then I feel like I can write and I can paint and I can say with color or words, whatever, I can say whatever I want. And now the 4th time she said, and why does that matter? And I was now getting pretty frustrated because I was like, that was a lot. That to me already felt like enough. I had already said, because I can say and paint whatever I want, right? Isn't that enough? And she said, but why does that matter? And so I just want you to know that this exercise, this didn't happen in one sitting. This happened over the course of several weeks when we would get on our calls and we would talk about it. So the 4th why was, why does it matter that you can write and paint and say whatever you want? And I sat with that, and I said, because I don't think I've ever felt safe enough to not only say whatever I wanted to say, but I don't think I've ever felt safe to be who I needed to be, to feel safe in my own expression of Jodie. And then she said, this was the 5th why. She said, and why is that important? And I sat with that and I realized my why was that I wanted to be seen and heard. That I had never really felt seen and heard. I had always had to quiet my voice in order to be physically safe and to be emotionally safe. So I had been for many years just trying to be whoever I needed to be to feel safe. And that wasn't serving me, but something had called me to start painting. And through the process of painting and creating art, I was able to have something on the outside of my body, right? It was like there is a canvas and there is paint on it. And I can say and paint whatever I want. And so there was something externally there that showed that I was there and I felt seen and I felt heard. So what I'm trying to get at here is this process of the 5 whys is that by the time you get to that 5th why, you'll be hitting on something very deep and very real for you. And the good news, this is such good news. The good news is that when you discover your why, it shores you up. And when we are shored up, it can't help but be transferred into the art that we're making. It makes our art more powerful. So, that alone, we're gonna get into how to talk about the why and all of this, but that alone will make for stronger art, which can drive revenue up. So don't sleep on the why. But what's interesting is that I'm going to give you another example of ways to find your why. Later, years later, my why began to evolve. So I've been doing this 21 years, and I can tell you that in the last probably 12 years, I've had 2 different whys. So your whys can definitely evolve over time. But there was a time where I was thinking, that why doesn't feel like it resonates with me as much anymore, because I had been selling art, and I'm like, oh, I do feel seen, and I do feel heard. Like I was more shored up than before. And so I felt like I needed to dig into my why again. So this time I did a different practice, which I also recommend is if you're trying to find your why. And that is through stream of consciousness journaling. So if you're not familiar with stream of consciousness journaling, it really is just writing stream of consciousness. So maybe you start by writing, I am here trying to figure out my why. I need to go to the grocery store. I got to pull the chicken out of the refrigerator. Finding my why. I'm not quite sure where to start. So do you see what I'm saying? It's stream of consciousness. What it does is it pulls up subconscious things, because by when we first start, it's kind of surface level stuff, but by the time we finish journaling, it's more deeper. That's not it. Deep. Oh shit. It's deep and true. That's where I'm going with this. So however you want to say that. So here's how you do this stream of conscious journaling is, you set a timer basically for like 15 or 20 minutes. And, I like to write these prompts in my journal because I feel like it makes it easier to remember, because squirrel, I'll go off on somewhere else. So here are the prompts that I like to use. So number 1, what do I want people to feel when they see my art? So, maybe you can, if you can't remember this, save this episode, download it, but this is important. What do we want people to feel when we see our art? The second question that I like to ask is, what themes or symbols show up in my work right now? What keeps coming up? So there was a time where I was using a lot of ladders, drawing a lot of ladders in my work. I still use crowns in my work. But just ask yourself, what are the symbols and themes that continue to show up in our work? And then the third question, don't sleep on this one. The third question is, what breaks my heart? What breaks my heart? And then the second part of that, and what fills it up? Because within that question alone, when we are relating it back to how we live our lives, because we can't separate who we are as artists from who we are in regular life. So when we answer that question, what breaks my heart and what fills me up, you are going to get so much closer to your why. So when I did this, I realized that my why had really morphed. It had gone from, wanting to be seen and heard to realizing that my new why was about something else. And I couldn't put it in one word, so I chose 3 words. You do you. I'm not the boss of you. But my 3 words are, my why is all about empowerment, freedom, and play. And y'all, when I realized that's what my whole life is about, empowerment, freedom, and play, what? There is no separateness between me and my art. If you are listening to the Honest Art podcast right now, you know that, the things that we do, I say things that are weird and maybe sassy, but we are going to have a good time. Amy, the podcast producer, and I, we always have a good time doing this. We tried to show a little behind the scenes sometimes, but we're always laughing. We're always having a good time. Play, that's play, right? But we don't fuck around either. Like what value that we want to bring to you guys, it is really important to us, and that is empowerment. And the freedom to, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Amy the podcast producer, she didn't listen to podcasts. She's raw dogging it out here, and she's killing it because we are in the top 5% of podcasts worldwide. Okay. That's freedom. It's like, we're just going to do this however we want to do it. And that transfers to my art as well. Freedom, empowerment, and play. So, all right. So that's kind of how you find your why. Again, if you want more examples, please join us in the Honest Art Society for more resources. But now let's talk about where to use it. Now, imagine somebody, a gallery or an exhibition or an art fair that you're applying to. They're like, okay, well, we need to have your artist statement. Imagine if you are not familiar with your why, or if you haven't done this work to find your why, writing that artist statement is going to be so much more difficult than if you have it, because truly your why is the backbone of your artist statement. If I wrote an artist statement right now, and I read it back and I didn't see freedom, empowerment, and play, kind of, not those exact words, but kind of wove it into, the words that I'm using, or just kind of like when somebody reads it, that's how I want them to feel, then I'm not done with the artist statement. It's like, it's not true. The other thing about knowing your why and using it in your artist statement is because what we tend to do is we tend to say, in the artist statement, we tend to say, well, my art is about, working with acrylics on canvas, and exploring abstraction. Well, who cares? That nobody can connect with that. Sorry. It's just not going to work. But what if instead you said something like, my work is about exploring emotional resilience through layers of color and texture, inviting the viewer to slow down and feel. Like, what if your why was about feeling and slowing down? Then now we're connecting with you. So if we're just going to be talking about techniques and processes, we're not going to connect to not only the viewer, but remember, who's asking for this? Is it a gallery owner? They are a human being. You can connect to that gallery owner through your why and having an artist statement that has that emotional connectedness in it. If it's somebody that's on a juror for an exhibition, again, remember, these are just people, and they are wanting to connect to your work. When you are clear on your why and you're able to weave that through your artist statement, you are going to have more opportunities come to you. Opportunities equal revenue. Okay. The second way that we can use our why is in social media captions. So when you can use your why and you're very familiar with your why, and you can use that in your storytelling of the piece that you're posting, then you are going to be connecting with the viewer of that post. It's going to make people so much more excited about your work. If you could say something like, this piece was born out of frustration that I'm feeling from, maybe it was the loss of a parent, or this piece was born out of a long walk through the woods where I remembered blah, blah, right? So using your why and using it as storytelling. Again, if you haven't listened to episode 108 about why people are buying art right now, go listen to that, because this is exactly what we're talking about, is using our why to connect to the audience through storytelling is going to help us do that. But use it in social media as well. And I know that can seem a little vulnerable to be able to say that, because, you don't know who's reading that post. It could be a family member. It could be an ex. You don't know who it is. Do it anyway, okay? Let yourself be seen through your why and through your work. The other thing, the other way you can use your why and to make it so much easier for yourself is through your email list, right? You can use your email list and you can share personal reflections. You can share stories in your emails of your why. You can create deeper bonds with the people on your email list. And listen, you might be like, I got 20 people on my email list. Okay, 20 people have money, right? You don't need all 20, you need one, right? Or maybe two. And then you grow your email list. But I'm telling you, the more you're able to speak to your why and to be able to speak to why you're doing what you're doing, the more you are going to connect with those people. So email lists for sure. The next way that you can use your why is in those in-person conversations. So again, if you've ever taken a workshop with me, it's just so clear. That freedom, empowerment, and play, that's what we do through all of the workshops, So there's always some dancing, there's always some cussing, there's always some tears, there's always play. There's always like somebody that just is so shored up and feels so empowered by the time they leave. So my workshops, when I'm talking to a gallery owner, when I'm talking to a collector, those in-person conversations and those in-person experiences, especially if you're somebody who wants to teach, if you want to host your own workshops, having your why and being clear about your why is going to help you sell more art. It's going to help you sell more spots on your workshops. It's going to help bring people into your open studio night. It's good, like those in-person conversations, because you're going to know it. Y'all can tell. I can rattle my why off just like nobody's business. It just rolls off the end of my tongue because I am so clear on it, and it makes everything else so much easier for me. Okay, guys, real quick, while I've got to tell you about something really, really exciting, and that is the Honest Art Society. The Honest Art Society is my membership group where I'm able to finally offer artists all of the things that you've been asking for. So you get monthly training, you get coaching calls, you get monthly art critiques, there are guest speakers, there is studio hour where we'll paint together, and also you get exclusive discounts and offers, and you get to hear about things that happen first. All for only $47 a month. So I hope you will join me in this group with amazing artists as well. So go to the link in the show notes to find out more about the Honest Art Society. Okay, lastly, I'm just going to go back to what I was talking about before about that artist statement. Being clear about your why is going to really help you get into galleries. It's going to help you get into shows, because people are just people, and we want to connect to people. And when there is a power imbalance, when we are wanting to be chosen because we're the artist, and we want the gallery to choose us, or we want that exhibition to choose us, or we want that fair to choose us, it feels like there's a power imbalance. Like somebody else has the power to decide whether my art sells or not. So by getting clear on our why and being able to communicate it easily, it shifts that power imbalance to making it like, hey, I'm just a person and you're just a person, and now we can connect on what is real and true. So, and that's what we want, right? We don't want to feel like somebody has got all of the control and all the power, but it's the emotion that is going to connect us to those people that do have, let's say, more power, or they at least have the decision-making power. So bottom line, when artists get clear on their why, we have a deeper emotional connection to our audience, but it's because we have a deeper emotional connection to ourselves. And that why is going to show up. It's going to show up in your story. It's going to show up in your captions. It's going to show up in your emails, and it's going to show up in your conversations. And it makes your work memorable. It it makes your work magnetic. So instead of just blending in with other people and describing your process or describing your medium, you stand out because you're sharing your heart. And when you share your heart with the art, you cannot help but start to increase your revenue. So I hope this was helpful. Please take the time to do this why work. And if you need support, whether it's support in your business or you need support on finding your why or making stronger art through critiques, or you just need a community of people that really get you, consider joining us in the Honest Art Society. We'll put the link in the show notes. Okay. Until next time, you guys, take good care of yourselves and each other. Peace out.